Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I'm your host, the fellow KGB. Tonight, Tuesday night hangout, we're joined by John and Drake. How's it going, guys? We'll start with Drake.
Going great, man. Happy to be here. Happy Tuesday.
Why does it feel like it's been more than a week since we talked last? I don't know. The time has been weird with the tournament. I don't know, but it feels like it's been a while. How's it going, John?
Doing well, man. I agree with you. Yeah, I feel like that college basketball tournament really shakes up the calendar a little bit.
My timing is thrown off just because the Monday night games and just everything's pushed off by a day. It was kind of enjoyable watching basketball last night, even though the games weren't the greatest. But I don't know.
I kind of wanted there to be games today. You know, I just wanted to watch some more games today.
It should keep rolling, right?
There's also been a lot of Top Shot drama in between there, so I think this is really it's been a long week, guys. It feels like it's been a long time.
Today was so weird because there was nothing happening. We've had 4 straight games, I guess technically 5 straight days of NCAA tournament nights, and then everything just stops. We had the pack drop yesterday. There's another one, all these things going on, and then today's just what happened today. The Packers signed Kevin King. That's what we get today.
I actually worked really hard today. That was, that's what today brought. It's a dead sports world.
Is it because you weren't working at all from Friday onwards?
The reality sinks.
That's pretty fair.
But where are we?
Make it up.
Where are we? So it's week 13 of the fantasy basketball season. I believe there's maybe 4 or 5 more weeks of regular season left of fantasy basketball. So we're getting to that final approach to the playoffs here. So I don't know. Do we want to just take a quick peek at we like to open up the NBA standings, just kind of note the teams that have been hot. The Bucks have been on a 7-game win streak, John. They're 9-1 in their last 10 days. They are technically the hottest team in the NBA based on the last 10 days.
Look at that difference from, if you go back up to the Eastern Conference, from the top 3 seeds and then the plummet to seed 4. I mean, that's interesting to me. I don't know why. It's just that you don't see that all the time.
And it's amazing that the Sixers haven't had a drop off without Joel Embiid. I think that's pretty important to note. They gave the Bucks a really good run. That one went into overtime the other night, and no Embiid. So I think the Sixers are pretty much going to be lingering around up there in the top 3 the rest of the way. I kind of expected them to drift back a little bit, but Sixers, Nets, and Bucks, that's going to be shaping up to be a good Final Four of the Eastern Conference. And then it's like a free-for-all. Miami Heat, Hawks, Hornets, Knicks, Celtics. We'll see if the Bulls or the Pacers or Raptors can make a run here. Do we know how is that play-in tournament going to work for the playoffs? Is it 7, 8, 9, 10 seeds compete?
It's the 7 through 10.
It's the same rules as last year, right?
Well, is it so 7's going to play the 10? So as of right now, the Knicks would play the Pacers, and is that just a 1-game thing, or is it 2 out of 3, or how does that work?
I think the Pacers would have to win 2. Right? They'd have to win 2 in a row, and then the Knicks would have to win 1.
Yeah, last year that's exactly it. Last year the lower seed had to win 2, and the higher seed had to, or the better team had to win 1 game to get in, and the worst team had to win 2 games. I don't know if they've officially announced the rules yet, but I tend to agree with Drake. I kind of assume they'll follow the same approach as last year. I mean, they can't have a legit tournament; they just don't have the time.
Yeah,
that would be unfair to the 7 through 10 seeds, and then all the other playoff teams get a big old rest.
A team that really sticks out to me right now, and I noticed how bad they were because they lost to my Cavs the other night, is the Raptors. Holy crud!
Boston got beat up by Cleveland, didn't they?
I think so. Yeah, Garland and Sexton went off on that game.
I don't know what's wrong with the Raptors. Everybody's there, right? Nobody's. I know OG Anunoby just because he's on my team. He was missing some games. Has Van Vliet or Kyle Lowry been healthy? What's going on with
Lowry's been playing. I know Lowry's been playing. I don't know.
Van Vliet's been playing as well. I don't really think they're missing a lot of bodies. It's not the same as it was. Lowry's another year older. Van Vliet's, he's really good, but when he's your number 1 offensive piece, that's troubling. And Siakam is not, he's having a good year, but he's not the same player he was.
I think
he's not getting to feed off of Kawhi anymore.
Exactly.
I think just looking at I mean, this is all the Raptors players' fantasy numbers. Just look at the drop off from Anunoby down to their 7th best player. Like they run 6 players that are pretty good players, but after that, like they just can't compete with teams when their second lineup goes in.
Is Jeremy Lin actually on their team, or is that just
he hasn't played? He's for some reason he's 0.2% rostered. I don't know what's going on here, but he hasn't played. I don't know. Let's see here. He's in the G League. He's playing in the G League right now. So he's putting up 20 points.
I love that there's those random players still. Like you'll get retired players that are maybe they didn't officially retire or something. Like in the rosters.
Did you guys ever catch Linsanity when he was balling with the Knicks?
Absolutely. We were in college.
Absolutely, man.
That was the time that we had to catch Linsanity.
I was actually I attended a game when he was there. I think it went into overtime and the Bucks won, and that was like when they had like Monte Ellis and I want to say like Greg Monroe and of course like Amari Stoudemire was on the net. Like that was that was a very memorable game. And I think Lynn had a triple-double. That was one of his triple-double games. But how do you like? I guess this is like looking at the Raptors. This is going to lead me into our next topic of conversation, and the NBA trade deadline's in 2 days. Raptors need to do something, otherwise they're just going to keep doing what they've been doing here. I've been seeing some of the updates on some of the players involved. It sounds like they definitely need a center. Like they don't have anything there. But besides Andre Drummond, is there another piece that they can acquire? I don't know, John. Do you have any thoughts?
I think the Raptors are looking at it from the other end. I think the Raptors are selling. I think that's probably the smart move. This team is, for lack of a better way to say it, they just feel played out. This is not. I think Siakam and Anunoby and Boucher can be, and even Van Vliet, they can be really nice building blocks. And Powell, they can be all building blocks to whatever the future Raptors competitive team is going to be. But they might need a year or two to get there because. This team is, like you said, we're not really sure what is going on. I don't think they've been very injury prone. I don't think they've had a lot of COVID issues. I could be mistaken there, certainly, but I think they've been relatively healthy this year. I don't know if there's a solution. I say personally, if I was a Raptors fan or just thinking the way I think you blow it up a little bit. You try to trade Lowry, get whatever assets you can. If maybe like a guy like Baines or whatever, any of your vets that you don't see as part of your long-term plans, jettison them for any kind of value you can, and then just boot it up next year. I don't know. That's my thought, but it's doom and gloom for sure.
I'm gonna say I've seen Lowry's name linked to the Clippers, and I've seen a couple other point guards linked to the Clippers. The Clippers need some work there. I don't know what they would have to send in return. With the draft pick wouldn't be very helpful. I think it'd probably be a mid to late first. But the Raptors definitely need to do something.
I saw Lowry linked to the 76ers as well. I really like that fit.
So I've seen both of those.
I think he was mentioned with the Heat. Even.
Did you guys get the Malcolm Brogdon blurb today too? That Pacers are apparently listening to his trade rumors. They're entertaining the idea, it sounded like. And that one was the shock. I'm looking for it right now, but there was some, I don't know, the Fantasy Life app was zinging around some trade rumors earlier today, and that's the one that stuck out because I haven't heard anything on that before.
I've been seeing a lot of Aaron Gordon. I just don't know who wants Aaron Gordon, but maybe someone does.
Yeah, I saw Aaron Gordon.
The T-Wolves, I think, is what I've been seeing.
I saw him linked to a playoff team, but I can't for the life of me remember which one. Celtics. I think it was the Celtics. I think it was like 2 firsts and some of their trash for Gordon was the deal they were. I don't know. Whoever I was reading was projecting.
Yeah, perhaps Aaron Gordon's
could
help the team. I don't know.
I want to see. I think Aaron Gordon needs to be moved. Orlando's not. I mean, they're definitely not going anywhere this year. I even think Vucevic should get moved too. Terrence Ross, any of those main.
They should definitely move Ross. I don't know if they'll be able to move Vu. He's got the new contract.
Yeah, that's going to be a building block situation. But I found
you're gonna have to.
On the Fantasy Life app, I found some of the trade rumors I was seeing. It sounds like the Knicks and the Heat are in the Victor Oladipo sweepstakes. It sounds like the Kings are willing to keep Harrison Barnes, but they're open to trade ideas. The Pacers are not trying to unload Miles Turner. JaVale McGee with the Cavaliers, they're not interested in a buyout there. And then the Pacers are listening to pitches for Malcolm Brogdon. That was the correct wording. And then also with Chicago is sitting right there at the 9th seed. They're probably going to be in that play-in game. They're listening to potential suitors for Lauri Markkanen, which could be a really nice piece for someone. But yeah, those were the main ones that I saw come by today.
I keep seeing the Lonzo Ball for Markkanen.
I don't remember where I saw it, but I saw Lonzo Ball to like a Clippers pitch. That one could be kind of interesting.
Yep.
But I don't know. We haven't looked at the West yet. The Clippers are just kind of sitting here. Like, can the Clippers compete with the Lakers, Suns, Jazz? Like, they really needs that one extra push to get them within reaching distance of the top 3 teams there. But I don't know what other Western teams could potentially.
The Nuggets. I think the Nuggets have the ability to add a piece right now, and they were one team I saw that was going after Lonzo as well.
They've been playing good. They're 8-2 their last 10 games. I think when we looked at them last week, they weren't as great. They were probably the 7th or the 8th seed.
Mm-hmm.
They've been tightening things up over there, so that's good to see. The Trailblazers have kind of scooted. I thought they were the 4 or the 5, so maybe they scooted back. But I don't know.
I think Nuggets leapfrogged the Blazers, I think. And
the Mavericks. The Mavericks are into. Before we were looking, they were the 9 and the 10, but now they've kind of inched up. And I think this 7 through 10 for this Western Conference play-in, that's going to be some good games.
What's OKC doing up there?
Creeping.
Are they going to move a guy like Al Horford? Is that an attractable? Like, would someone want to take on his contract if they're trying to push towards the playoffs?
Yeah, maybe there's some type of contractor, including a third team in it, to get him to a contender. I could see that.
Have you guys?
Maybe they're trying to win. I don't know.
Have you guys seen the kid that's been playing really out of his mind while Horford rests? Moses Brown. Let's just look at some of his numbers. So just in the last handful of games, look at some of these numbers. This is without Al Horford.
Oh my, Moses.
Yeah, holy Moses. That's impressive.
Only one, if you get a 15.25, you're not overly mad about it, especially if it's sandwiched around a couple 35s and a 50.
Where did he go to college? I recognize his name.
Let's Google it real quick. Moses Brown.
They've got a lot of just bizarre fantasy producers this year, though. They have that dude with the crazy name. They have Lou Dort. They have Ty Jerome. I mean, it's just a bizarre season fantasy.
Oh, he was a G League player. That's why I recognize him.
He was a UCLA guy. That's what I'm seeing here.
Maybe I don't know anything about this guy.
Here at UCLA, but this was a guy that was he tripped up on my waiver wire watch last night, and then someone in my chat actually mentioned him last night or 2 nights ago or something. And these numbers are hard to ignore, especially. And then the caveat I said is if Al Horford gets moved or if they do any, he's kind of in and out most nights anyways. But these production numbers are seven. We got a 7-game sample here, and his worst game's 15. That's the only game under 20 points. This is a guy that probably needs to be owned. So.
Only 2 games under 25.
He's
got some nice stats.
All right, we got. I was going to say we got a comment from our guy Lucius here. These are some kind words here. So we've taken him from last to second in his league. So that's pretty cool. He's got DeAndre Hunter coming out of his IR, and he needs to drop a player. It's going to have to be Kelly Oubre or Lauri Markkanen. This is a points league. How do we help Lucius here? That is Kelly Oubre and Markkanen. I mean, those guys are all probably, I would assume, almost 90% owned. We can look at the numbers in a little bit here, but John Drake, anyone want to? How do we help him here?
I need to look at this because I'm not sure I'm dropping any of those players.
That's kind of my first thought. Definitely want to see Oubre here.
Oubre is probably the decider. I'm assuming Markkanen I'm keeping, but
if I remember correctly, I think Lucius brought this question up on my Thursday night show, and I said, let's just wait until Hunter becomes until he starts playing, and then we can address this. And I think he got one game in the other day, didn't he?
He played last night.
Yeah, that was his first game back. So Oubre had a really nice stretch of early February, and then he's kind of fallen off. So just looking at the season stats here, you got Markkanen almost 28 points per game, Hunter about 29, but we shouldn't expect that right now. And then 28 for Oubre. Let's just see what Hunter did last night. 20 minutes, 8 points, 1 board, 1 assist, 1 steal. So we gotta assume that his minutes will slowly ramp back up to maybe around 30. I think that's probably the expectation there. And then if we just let's just filter by the last 7 days. You see Lauri Markkanen about 25.1 points per game, and we got Oubre at about 24.7. And then as far as percent rosters, Lauri's about 78, Oubre about 88. So does anything stick out here for you guys?
This is a hard decision. I mean, I don't know if I'm excited to drop either one of those guys, but I'd probably go Lauri. But
well, here's my thinking too. If these are your worst players that you're considering to drop, you got a pretty good team, man. This is a kind of a good problem to have.
Absolutely, Kyle.
Drake.
I'm probably gonna drop Kelly, maybe because I'm more excited about where Lauri might end up.
Well, and so looking at the last 4 games from Oubre, this is kind of like numbers of a guy you can get off of the waiver wire some nights, right?
Yeah.
So definitely in a 10-man league, you can find this production. In a 12-man league, it might be a little bit more difficult to find. You just go pick up Moses Brown if you need somebody. This is what Oubre was doing end of February here that gives me kind of hope to hang on to him. A couple 40s, a 39, a 23. If he can return to this form, and what's going on with Steph Curry? Do we know how long he's out for yet? Has there been an injury update on his? I think it was the ankle.
I haven't heard anything on his update.
Tailbone. So he's sidelined for tonight's game. It's his 3rd straight game he's missed. They don't offer anything about a timeline here.
Well, good news is for the Warriors, they have the best defensive player that's ever played the game.
Draymond.
That's according to Draymond.
Oh man.
Draymond knows Draymond. You gotta be honest about that.
That's true.
All right, so we've gotten Lucius from last place to 2nd place here. So this move could put him up to 1st place. So,
well, you're the tiebreaker, Kyle. I said drop Lauri. Drake said cut Kelly. What would you do?
I don't know if Hunter's worth hanging on to.
Look at his average though when he was healthy, and he didn't really. I mean, he wasn't out very long.
It's probably going to take him at least a week worth of games. So maybe 3 or 4 more games for him just to get back into the 30-minute range, I would assume. Yeah. They're probably not just going to let him hit the gates right away.
You're definitely holding out for a future here. You're holding Hunter for that playoff run.
Because Lucius is in 2nd place here, we obviously have a little bit of wiggle room where if he loses this week because he holds DeAndre Hunter, it's not a problem. But what do you guys – I mean, I just kind of read that news piece where Lauri Markkanen might be traded. Is there potential where he gets lifted somewhere that could just elevate his fantasy points? That almost makes me more inclined to hold him versus Oubre. But Markkanen's been kind of an injury-prone player for most of his career so far, right?
Yeah, he has. I think in the right situation, though, maybe he's playing through some of these injuries that have kept him out. A stretch 4 on the Pelicans seems to make sense. I mean,
that would be nice. They need more shooters. So
Lauer, I mean, he can play on any team. He's
so with Oubre,
good NBA player.
With Oubre, just looking at his last 5 days, I'm not gonna miss these numbers. It's the thing with Oubre for me is I'm gonna if he starts doing these again, that's where I'm gonna feel like, oh crap, we missed out on something really nice here. But you also see. Look at his minutes during that 5-game stretch, up to 37, 36, 38. And all of a sudden, he's kind of back down to just under 30 almost in these last 5 games here. So I think because he's probably got that situation where Hunter's in the IR. He can't make any moves. He can't make any trades. He can't do anything with this team until someone gets free, right? So if you really want to hold Hunter, I think I'm going to let Oubre go, just because Markkanen at the moment right now, look at his last 5 days, a little bit better than Oubre's, and there's that potential where if he gets a golden ticket to whether it's New Orleans or if he gets somewhere where he's one of the featured pieces on offense, maybe Lauri Markkanen is the guy to hold here, because he's been a pretty good player since his return. And the thing too is he's also very consistent. I appreciate that. So for me, probably gonna dump Kelly Oubre. Oh man,
it's kind of troubling that Kelly's numbers, like his minutes, are down with Steph being out. That's
just the one game here of 36.
Yeah.
You look at his last 7 days compared to his season stats too. The minutes are up about a minute, but his scoring's down about 3 points, rebounds down about a point, assists about the same, steals almost down a half a point, blocks up about a half a point. But it's these points and these rebounds here that are going to be the most consistent on a nightly basis here, and just the scoring from him. I don't appreciate this 4-point game or the 7-point game's okay because he was able to he was able to hold it up with the rebounds, but. This is a tough question here, but I think just being in second place and understanding that Hunter, he's going to probably need the 3 or 4 games to just get back into working shape. I mean, whoever, like, if you dump Kelly Oubre, someone's going to pick him up within 24 hours, right? Like someone's going to go pick him up off the waiver wire. So you're technically helping somebody else by dumping an Oubre or a Markkanen, which I give pause to. But I don't know.
I mean, what's the rule? I mean, he can't do any moves right now, right? He can't add anyone.
From when I've had someone sitting in my IR, I can't make a trade. I can't make any pickups. You can drop somebody. So
you can only drop.
That's his problem right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're all very close here. We haven't broached one of the other subjects, one of the third possibility, and that's drop Hunter. We haven't even touched on that, but I mean, I think this is a situation, especially given your standing in the league, we're in second place. You can afford to, lose a couple games as Hunter rounds himself back into shape. So, you can do anything you want here, Lucius. Our consensus is keep Lauri and cut Kelly, but even if I know you held Hunter for such a while there, but you could cut him, you could cut Kelly, you could cut Lauri. You're probably going to be okay. I think Kyle's point at the beginning really resonates with me. If these are your 3 worst guys, you're in good shape. So
it kind of falls back to one of my favorite rules of playing any fantasy sport. Really, is to have fun. Go with the players you like. If you are a fan of DeAndre Hunter more than Kelly Oubre, cut Kelly Oubre. If you're just kind of go with what your gut goes. I think. Just looking at, again, too, is what's kind of funny. Just looking at their 2021 season output. Look at these fantasy points per game. These guys are all in the same tier, 27, 28 points. Maybe we're thinking too much. It's literally 1 point per game here. So I think if you're patient enough, you want to keep Hunter. I would probably dump Kelly Oubre and keep Lauri Markkanen. We'll see what happens. But I don't know. That's a tough question, but that's something that a lot of people wrestle with, I'm sure, trying to get guys back off the waiver wires. But I guess this is a good segue, too, is now that we're kind of talking about guys returning from injury, should we take a look at some of the injuries across the NBA right now?
Yes, sir.
Man, we helped Lucius get from last to second place. That's kind of cool, guys.
John's gonna beat me this week in fantasy. It's gonna happen.
Hold on, let me just pull up the holy standings here. What's
no Tatum last night? No Irving? No Embiid?
Is John a bubble team?
John's definitely.
I'm 6-6, baby. I'm bubbling very.
He's gonna
far.
get a nice little RPI win here. He's gonna. He's gonna pick up a nice contender win.
Top 6 seeds make the playoffs, so that leaves basically you versus Spider Monkeys here for the points. You are behind the Spider Monkeys by roughly 330 points. So 4 weeks left. You just have to outscore Michael by a little bit. But you're 6-6, dude. You're one game out of the playoffs.
Is the last spot points based or record based?
So if you can sneak in the top 6, that's by record. But 7th seed is the points. So you're sitting.
7th seed. Okay, yeah, sure.
We've kind of known it's been an 8-man race for probably the last month or so. I think Jesse has established himself that like if he doesn't get in on record, he's getting in on points. Like he's kind of well ahead of Spider Monkeys, Pick and Pop, and Mount Zion. So Jesse's safe. I think it's we got 2 spots. I guess no, 1 spot between my dad, Schmitty, and John here. So
Pele's not paying attention last week could really cost him.
Well, his issue though is the app. For some reason, it's either
the app it's always finicky for me. So I get that.
That's weird though, because I've set my lineup on the app. I've set my lineup on desktop. I've never missed one.
I've set it and gone back and looked at it, and it's all fadoinked. And I don't know.
I've definitely been having a little bit of trouble with the ESPN app this week. Not 100% sure it's ESPN's fault. It could be my phone being weird because I have one other app that's been kind of bizarre, but still. I missed Jordan Poole. I couldn't pick up Jordan Poole, and then Schmitty picked him up, and now I'm going to miss the playoffs because of fucking Jordan Poole. Damn it!
Well, how many weeks? I think
that was amazing.
Is it 17?
We got to bring Jordan Poole on the show.
Yes. That seems very appropriate.
Just technically, including this week, there's 5 more weeks available yet here. So if you if you go 4-1, 3-2, 3-2 might get you in there. 4-1 should definitely get you in there. So we're trying to just I don't know, finish.
Gotta win games, baby. Just win, baby, win. That's all it takes.
By the way, Paper Hank, he liked Paper Hank. He messaged me last night saying he liked the Paper Hank.
It took him a while to find it.
It took him a month to acknowledge to me that hey, name. So, but anyways, looking at some of the guys that are injured here, Drake. Do you know when Embiid's coming back? Should we look at this?
It was a 2 to 3 week injury when it happened.
So last played on March 12th here, and I guess the last update was the 13th. So he had the MRI that Saturday, no structural damage, which is great. So he's expected to miss roughly 2 weeks, which puts him through the 20th, through the 27th. So maybe April 1st, maybe, we're
April Fool's gift.
We're probably 7 days away from Joel Embiid. Send trades if you can. This is the time to do it. He's got another week left of hanging out, so let's see what you can do. But what's up with Kevin Durant? It feels like we haven't seen him. Yeah, it's been almost a month since we've seen him. And the last update that I have here is from March 15th. He's expected to remain out for another 1 to 2 weeks, which from the 15th, 1 week puts us to roughly today. So there might be another week yet of no Kevin Durant.
What's his injury?
Hammy.
Which,
What's the rush? They're in second place. They've got Harden. They win games with just Harden. They don't even need Durant or Kyrie.
So he is Durant, because none of us have Kevin Durant in our big league. Is he like if you were able to unload some players to get Kevin Durant? Is that something that interests you?
Absolutely. Why would you not want Kevin Durant?
What would if you're the Kevin Durant owner and you see he averages 47.2 fantasy points per game, who are you sending to acquire such a Kevin Durant here?
You're probably gonna have to give someone on, top of my head, I'm thinking, oh man, it's hard to trade for KD.
So, I mean, obviously, these are the best players in the last 7 days. Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, 47 isn't an insane amount.
Right.
I mean, if someone sent you a Julius Randle for a Kevin Durant trade.
And especially just because, say the Kevin Durant owner, he's been without Kevin Durant for a month.
And who knows when Durant's coming back. He might decide to go make some wine or something and take another month off.
They're maybe 6-6, 7-5 at best without Kevin Durant. If someone sends you Jaylen Brown today for Kevin Durant? Do you hit accept? Do you cash in a Jaylen Brown and try to get a win this week? That's
try to get a win the next 2 weeks,
right? And then even when Durant comes back, it might be a game or two before he actually heats up. But I'm just looking real quick at fantasy points.
I view Durant as this. Kyrie and Harden are going to have fun the first 3 quarters, and then Durant's just going to come in and close this thing out in the fourth every game. So I'm not even sure how insane his fantasy numbers are going to be. I still think the fantasy numbers are going to Harden and Kyrie at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Durant. He's got 20 points every game, bare minimum, 5 rebounds, probably even close, somewhere around 3-4 assists, and these are just bare minimums. And then he's always in play for blocks and steals. So I mean, his floor games are still really nice, even with all the talent and attention around him. I think the thing that gives me pause about Durant is they've been super, super, super cautious for very good reason with this injury so far. Okay, they've announced 1 to 2 weeks last week. What's them to just keep him out? What's to stop them from keeping him out a month? Then he, starts to get warmed up, get ramped back up into basketball activity, basketball shape, like right before your fantasy playoffs, perhaps even in the middle of your fantasy playoffs. And, Drake, to your point, like there's all sorts, with Kyrie and Harden around, there are chances for him to have, very low scoring games for a Kevin Durant type player because there's only one ball. I mean, he might just not score as much. He just doesn't need to. He's riskier than a Kevin Durant level player would ever be in my mind. I would only trade for him if I am 100% confident that I'm going to make the playoffs, I would only trade for him in this scenario. I'm 100% certain I'm making the playoffs, and I'm very, very concerned that I have a very, very low shot to win a championship. So you need that swing for the fences type player to pull you through in the playoffs, but you also need to make sure you're going to make the playoffs for him to have any value. That's where I am. I don't know how many fantasy owners are in that area, but if you're in that area, then I wouldn't be afraid to trade a little bit of something for him. I think the Jaylen Brown is a perfect example. He's averaging 30, 35-ish fantasy points a game right now. He definitely has some high upside, but he's more of a steady Eddie type player. He's giving you very consistent production over time. And it's beautiful production, but if you wanted to try to turn that into a player that could get you 57, 60 instead of 47, 50, that might be the move. But you have to be.
You trade Jimmy Butler for Kevin Durant right now?
Yes.
Would you give up Jimmy Butler for Durant?
Just from John's talking,
yeah,
I don't want Kevin Durant.
That's where I'm at too. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't know when he's going to play.
And here's the thing too. If he twists an ankle, he could be out 2 weeks. Yeah. They have no reason to play these guys right now if they get injured.
He's going to be on ice till the playoffs, and maybe not even in the first round.
I was just going to say, Drake, I'm getting a little dramatic here, but like honestly, do you need Kevin Durant to beat the Pacers, to beat the Hawks? I mean, especially if Kyrie and Harden are on full cylinders and Blake Griffin is dunking every 3 months. I mean, my goodness,
you don't need anything.
He needs 1 week before the playoffs to get ready. Like that's at this point, like they could literally just let him sit until the last 3 or 4
I don't think Kevin Durant needs anything.
No, but
I think he could come off and just start scoring on you.
He'll hit him.
Think about the last Golden State finals against the Raptors, and Durant played that one game for 15 minutes. He could not run. I'm pretty sure he could not run, and he still had 12, 15 points because he was just canning threes. And the only person guarding him the entire time he was on the court was Kawhi freaking Leonard. He can on one leg score over the best defender in the league. I mean,
I remember his leg was kind of off to the side when he was walking and trying to get up and down the court, and he still scored 15 points.
Legitimately gimping around out there.
So he's just that good. So
But
he
we
doesn't
love
need
Kevin Durant, but I'm not sure. I think there's a consensus here that I don't think we want anything to do with him right now in fantasy.
I don't want to see him on my team.
He's too expensive and he's super high risk. And I forget which one of you said it, but like if he one more injury, like one more tweak, he might not play again for the rest of the regular season, or maybe just that last week get a game or two in. So his risk for the regular season is high. His risk for the playoffs, in my mind, it's high. It's not as high for the regular season, but it's still pretty high. And like I said, like if you're going to make the playoffs, but you're pretty sure you're not going to win a championship, Kevin Durant is exactly who I'm going after. He's high risk, high reward.
So the fellowship seal is we want to sell Kevin Durant. We don't want to buy Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And then the selling would be if someone, you offered the trade, someone looks at the Kevin Durant, they're going to click on his name. They're going to scroll down here and see he's out another 1 to 2 weeks. This was from the 15th. That puts him back at some time next week. So that, there's excitement. There's a recent blurb that could get this, the trade pushed.
It's very hard to trade for a caliber player like this. It's just you're never going to get the value if you're selling.
I think I'm willing to take a slight loss though, because technically, if you look at the points on the 2021 season, I mean, Durant's averaging 47. I will gladly take a Jaylen Brown who's averaging about 40. If you look at his 2021 season numbers, I'll take a 4 or 5 point loss on the season averages. So it looks like you're losing, but man, you're picking up games. More consistent games.
Well, and the Jaylen Brown argument is like, the Nets are going to very likely, we just talked about it, those 3 teams in the East have absolutely locked themselves in the top 3 seeds unless something bizarre happens. So their playoff positioning is pretty safe. So the Nets could just have a desire to just stop playing at some point. Whereas you have teams like the Celtics who are absolutely like scrapping for an 8 seed right now. If you can get a Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant, Jaylen Brown might need to step up. Like they're going to absolutely need him to play down the stretch when you need him most. So
at this point, I think there's the East you're in 2 camps here. If you're in the top 3, one, how important is it to you to be the 1 seed between Philly, the Nets, and the Bucks? Like that, there's that battle, but also everyone behind those 3 teams, they do not want to be the 6, 7, or 8. They want nothing to do with the Sixers, Nets, and the Bucks in the first round. So everyone's trying to go for this 4 or 5, which means a guy like Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. I don't think you'd be able to get for Durant at this point, but you could try. But Julius Randle, you could maybe get a Julius Randle for Kevin Durant at this point. I don't think you'd get a Trae Young. The Hornets they don't really have anyone that's going to get you the 40.
The Hornets are probably falling off here. With LaMelo out for the season.
I actually have someone that you might want to trade for on Charlotte.
Devonta Graham?
Devonta Graham.
I've heard rumors that they might move him, but it wouldn't make sense now. It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Devonta Graham.
So Jimmy Butler from the Heat, he's a guy that the Heat need to, they need to maintain that 4-5 seed here. You're not going to get a Trae Young. You can try. That'd be sweet if you can get Trae Young for Kevin Durant right now. But Julius Randle, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown, those are probably the names that I'm trying to move.
Do Bucks fans want a 3-6 matchup with the Heat? Do you guys want to play the Heat again in the first round this year?
I don't want to play the Heat.
About the Heat this year?
I don't want to play the Heat ever again, but might as well get it out of the way. Then I don't have to worry so much about the playoffs. Like we're either in it and we're going to go all the way because we got rid of the Heat, or
do you feel pretty confident against the Celtics if you get a 6 seed Celtics? You feel pretty good about that?
Yeah, I feel fine.
I think so too. I think you should feel good about both. The Bucks are.
I think the Heat
playing excellent basketball right now.
The Heat second round, that would probably be a potential pairing if we can get them there, but we'll see. I don't know.
They were on a pretty good win streak. I think they're on a 3-game loser now, but weren't they pretty hot there before the break?
Correct. But man, I don't know. The Bucks are playing good team ball right now. They just blew out the Pacers,
and they got PJ Tucker. That's not gonna fill up any stat sheets, but that's a nice move.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. John, how do you feel about PJ Tucker? I don't think he's a fantasy guy that we're going to need to know, but as far as just being a veteran shooter off the bench,
Yeah, if you're in a league that rewards for moving screens, PJ Tucker is probably the most elite fantasy asset on the planet. Outside of that, no, he's not a fantasy guy, but he's just an incredible veteran basketball player. So just from like a pure Bucks fandom standpoint, very very exciting. Loved watching him play. He's one of those guys where like Marcus Smart types, Pat Bev types, just guys you hate playing against, but you love having them on your team. So very happy to have PJ in Milwaukee.
If he can find his corner, like he did in Houston.
The only reason we brought him in is so when we need someone to score like in the playoffs to just get 8 points off the bench, like that's what he's going to do.
He's going to be wide open. Just
too big
to do the same thing,
like something like that. So it's a good signing. We didn't even use DJ Wilson or DJ Augustin. It's a
Did you guys want Depot in that trade? There was a rumor. Maybe John started that rumor. I don't know. I was pretty excited for a minute. I don't think you want Depot. I don't know what he does for you.
I don't know how we get to Depot. We would need to get rid of one of our big three, Drew, Chris, or Giannis, just to make the salary work. And I don't think.
I would say Lopez maybe.
Lopez
could have got away with doing Lopez or something.
We could have done Lopez and all of our star players, and maybe made the money work that way. We certainly would have needed a third team.
Yeah.
Just want to throw out what Dante DiVincenzo's been up to, because he's been
his rebounding lately is nuts.
He's been kind of this is before the bubble last year. The Bucks were playing good ball, and DiVincenzo was playing really good ball. But you look at his last handful of games here, he's slowly becoming a really good fantasy player, and just he's a dominant player when he's on. He's very subtle, but he's a rebounding freak. This guy's got mad hops. He's probably one of my favorite Bucks players to watch right now, just because he effort in every little thing that he does, whether it's rebounding or just hustling down to make a block or something, or a steal. DiVincenzo's been playing. He's only 67% rostered. If you're in a 10-man league, you look at these last 5 games. He's butting into a really nice player here. So the Bucks. It makes me think of that Bogdanovich trade where we sent DiVincenzo and some other pieces and tried to get that to work, and the universe was like, "You guys should
Sister Jean shut that down.
You guys should probably
said no."
I think that's a big catalyst, as he's been playing really good, but trying to get it back to.
Can you imagine the outrage? Because DiVincenzo is going to play good anywhere. He would have been playing good for the Hawks right now.
Yeah, well, and Bogey got hurt.
Yeah,
it would have been very frustrating.
Has Bogey played? Is he playing now and just not doing anything?
He's back.
I feel like I've looked at him a few times on the waiver wire.
Yeah, now that DeAndre Hunter's back, though, he's immediately back to like spot duty bench role. Hunter absolutely stole Bogey's job.
With him a little. Is he on your team?
No, I won't. I won't touch him. My dad got him.
Oh, okay, of course.
I won't touch him.
That's why I saw him. Did he pick him up last week?
It was the 18th, so yeah, 5 days.
Yeah, I was playing against him.
If we're talking Hawks real quick, I have just been swimming in the vanilla Gallinari the last weeks. And it's starting to get a little sour, just a 14 and a 19, but
vanilla is what it is.
The man's he had that stretch run here where he just put up buckets, and he's been playing really good minutes, just really good all around here. So he's only 56% owned. And
are the Hawks kind of coming together now? Are they kind of figuring it out under Nate Millen here?
Here's the thing: they're the 5 seed in the East, and they're not even a complete team yet. They're still figuring it out.
Their rookie, I can't pronounce his name. He don't even play. It's like 8 minutes a night, then 10 minutes. And
no, he's on the Heat. Who's their rookie?
The center from USC.
One thing to keep in mind with Gallinari, Kyle, is the return of DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah,
he's going to cause some problems there.
Let me just pull up the.
Oh, there he is. He's at the top.
You're talking. Oh, Okongwu.
Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, with Hunter back, what's the deal with Cam Reddish real quick while we're here?
He's
coming back. Oh, never mind.
Maybe by May. May. So he
had Achilles surgery.
Yeah, he's completely out of the picture. So they're basically running the lineup of Trae Young, Capella, Collins, Gallinari, Herder, Hunter and Bogdan that's their main minutes, guys. I'm just looking at the last 7 days. Tony Snell's getting 24.5 minutes. What is going on around here? That makes me mad. It's whatever.
He's putting up Tony Snell numbers.
Double digits, baby. If you're in a 20-man league, this is your guy right here, Tony Snell.
Who's getting Cousins? I feel like there's a lot of teams that could use Cousins.
So is he? He's not. He's technically on our out list, so you could put him under your IR right now and just hold on to Boogie.
He's still on the Rockets active roster though.
He's still got that heel injury.
But he's cut. I don't get it.
Who's gonna like a team that needs a center? I've talked the hell out of Toronto needing a center, but Boston
Cousins doesn't do anything for Toronto though.
It sounded like Boston wanted to move Tristan Thompson too. Did you hear that?
That'd be pretty wild.
I didn't hear that. No.
What they need.
Because it sounds like they want more Robert Williams minutes. And Robert Williams, like, have you guys seen Robert Williams' numbers lately?
Yeah.
Like he's gonna be
Williams is impressive.
Very good.
He's gonna be a really fun player in the future here. And
He is.
it just blows me away his minutes compared to his points.
What are the Celtics missing? What's going on with this team?
Celtics make no sense to me, guys. I can't figure that one out.
They kind of remind me of the Raptors because they have their 3 or 4 people, and then after that, the list just gets really short, really quick. Let's take a look at this. So I'm just
Tatum has not been doing that well for his standards. Would you say that's true or false? Or
I'd agree.
The last month or so, he hasn't been playing.
Yeah,
like a star.
He was playing pretty lights out there for a bit, but yeah. But Tatum hasn't been doing that well. I mean,
when Marcus Smart missed a good chunk of time, he's kind of just getting back into the swing of things. He's 7 games back into his return. But just look at this list of Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Robert Williams is their 3rd best player the last 7 days. And you get Kemba Walker, and then it's going to fall off with Daniel Tice, Marcus Smart, Jeff Teague. They basically have 7 quality NBA players, and then after that, it's going to fall off pretty quick.
Grant Williams, I feel like they can make into a pretty solid NBA player.
And he's one of those minutes per guy. Like he needs minutes to be productive.
Tristan Thompson, you got to include as a solid NBA player.
But why is he out?
And Semi Ojeleye and Peyton Pritchard are going to get spot minutes and the right matchups. I mean, Brad Stevens will use them right. But I mean, they have a great coach. I mean, I think the Raptors Celtics parallel is really interesting.
Brown and Tatum they're not those. They're good players, which we thought they were going to be coming out of those drafts, but they're not superstars right now. They're not doing these insane, things to help this team. So they haven't become that next tier,
They need a 4 or 5. They need another big man. Like what? How do you think? Like
I think this team needs to revolve around playing good team basketball, and I think there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to have to help out here within that 8-man rotation.
I'm just thinking like trade deadline because if you can move Tristan Thompson, you could get a pretty nice piece in return. They're just going to use Daniel Tice and Robert Williams more, which is probably a good thing at this point. But they have a luxury having Tristan Thompson basically.
On paper, they have Teague and Smart coming off the bench. That should be good scoring. Do they need a 6-man? What are they missing? Do they need Terrence Ross?
I didn't want to say it, but that was the name that's like. I'm looking at the guards, like Jaylen Brown, technically the 2.
Just come in here and get 13 points for me.
This is the team that I've seen most linked to Aaron Gordon. Do you think Aaron Gordon adds what they're missing?
Well, you're going to start Walker at the 1, Brown at the 2. Tatum's technically the 3. You're going to put
Gordon at the 4.
Who's their 4? Aaron Gordon then, and then you start
Gordon at 4.
That would be sick.
So you'd have Gordon, Williams, but that means you trade none of their best players to get Gordon, which is fine because I think they can probably pull it off with draft picks because they still have a pretty good war chest. But yeah, if they could trade none of their useful pieces and get Aaron Gordon back, that would be nice.
They'd probably have to move Thompson in that, which would be fine.
What if they
just to match salaries? I don't know how much they can take on for salary.
Is
well, absolutely. Yes, they would have to do that. Yes.
Is Marcus Smart expendable for them? Like, are they missing a lot with him?
I think you need to keep Marcus Smart. This team is, I don't know. The Celtics are a Marcus Smart team.
Marcus Smart is a big part of their culture.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at Jeff Teague and Tristan Thompson as the pieces that they could potentially move.
Yeah. If you could convince someone to take Kemba Walker, then you'd probably do it. But
Not for Gordon. Not for Gordon.
Not for
you
Gordon.
Need a guard. You need a guard. Yeah, you need to replace Kemba with something.
Interesting.
Okay. I don't know what can guards would get them.
That's a good idea, though, Drake. If you could swap Kemba for a worse guard and then maybe add like one extra piece, like one extra piece that Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens think they need, then that wouldn't be a bad deal because Kemba doesn't seem to be moving the needle as much as his name would make you think.
Right. What about Oladipo here? Does Kemba?
I think Oladipo and Kemba do the same thing for me at this point.
They're kind of the same.
I prefer Kemba, honestly. I hate to say it, but I prefer Kemba.
I don't.
So we're getting.
Maybe you could, fleece the Knicks or something.
That's
always an option.
Go talk to the Kings. But anyways, we kind of got started at the top of this injury list. We hit on Embiid, Durant, but we didn't talk about the two names that we wanted to get to in LeBron James and Lamell Bald. But LeBron James is out 3 weeks, I believe, with an ankle injury.
It's indefinitely.
The word is several weeks with the right high ankle sprain. The Lakers they're fine. Hopefully Anthony Davis can return in a week or so too. That's also part of the Lakers are ailing right now. They just need to rest and get some of these younger players minutes. But we know LeBron's out for at least probably, it sounds like 3 weeks. How do you go about if you're the LeBron owner? I mean,
Horton Tucker.
But
we'll pick up Horton Tucker.
I want to just click on the Lakers here and show us what we're looking at. So over the last 7 days, LeBron's still included in this. He was their best player over the last 7 days, but Montrezl Harrell, 95% owned. Dennis Schroder, 88% owned. After that, you're looking at Talon Horton Tucker and Kyle Kuzma and maybe Markieff Morris. These are probably the three leading scorers for them going forward, right?
Yep.
And
leading scorers, no. Like they're the three. They're the leading men to take as much of LeBron's role as possible. But Schroder and Harrell get a massive bump in my mind, especially without AD. I mean, those are literally the two quality NBA players left on this roster.
Harrell's one player I kick myself over not owning. He's and exactly what we thought he would be.
Last report on AD was 3 weeks, and this was on March 15th. So we're still 2 weeks out on AD. So are you guys saying to maybe kick the can on Harrell, see what the owner of Montrezl Harrell's thinking about over there? And then what about Dennis Schroder here, who I don't know what happened. He's playing right now. The last 2 games haven't been great, but he's been playing good ball though the last handful of games. Does trading for Schroder or Harrell interest you guys?
I just don't know what I would have to move. Those guys are playing so well right now. I mean, look at what Harrell's putting up, 36 points. You're gonna have to give up something pretty good to get him. And when AD and LeBron come back, how much is Harrell gonna put up?
Right.
Is Marcus All going to fill in more in that role with LeBron? Who knows?
So let's flip it. Is this a sell high moment on Harrell?
I think I sell high. Absolutely. I'm selling high on Schroder and Harrell.
I'd rather pick up Horton Tucker for free than
if you're relying on Schroder and Harrell to get you into the playoffs. That's not what you're relying on. John might be. I don't know.
Kyle Kuzma's still under 60% owned. I don't care if it's a 8-man or a 10-man league.
Cruz is for real.
I don't get it. He's just in 10 minutes right now against the Pelicans tonight. He's got 15.5 points. That's probably start of the second quarter right now, for God's sake.
Yeah, the Lakers guys, they're going to play. I mean,
so
you can even dig down a little deeper if you need to. I looked at Pope, Caldwell Pope. Maybe he's going to get 30 minutes one night. They have 5 games this week.
Interesting. I'm trying to get anybody else that maybe – because we got 2 weeks of – we got at least 2 weeks of no LeBron and AD. maybe a third. So to me, it all comes back to picking up a Horton Tucker. Kuzma should not be available. He needs to be owned. And then it's probably Morris is the last guy that you can maybe KCP is one of those guys you just pick up for if they have a back-to-back, you pick him up for 2 games and see what happens. But the Lakers, man, we'll be interested to see what they do. What's up with Kyrie? Why is he out?
3-game road trip. He's staying back just deal with some family stuff.
Got it. So tonight's the first of this 3-game road trip, so no more for 2 more games after that. Steph Curry, we kind of talked about him a little bit. He's got an ankle injury. There's no timeline, or the tailbone injury. There's no timeline on this yet. But I did see, while we're just quickly talking about the Golden State Warriors, we did talk about Kelly Oubre a little bit. Andrew Wiggins had a really big game the other night, and it caught my attention. 40 points, 8 rebounds. I don't know if that's a career high for Andrew Wiggins, but probably as a Wiggins owner, this was, you see the 65 and a half, and you're like, that was Wiggins? Like, what? And
Wiggins has put up some insane numbers in his time.
I don't want to sell high on a guy like Wiggins. I don't know if you want to trade for him right now. We don't know what's up with Curry, but it was just really good to see him thrive and kind of be their main scorer here against Memphis.
I've always had a soft spot for Wiggins.
He's a really good player to watch. He's just it seems like he needs to be more aggressive. Like he's still kind of he needs to be unleashed yet. So maybe this is part of the unleashing process for him. We talked about Davis.
I mean, if Jimmy Butler and Steve Kerr can't do it, I don't know who's going to do it.
What do you do with Andre Drummond? If Andre Drummond's just chilling on the bottom of your bench right now, John, what are we doing with Drummond?
You wait till Friday at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely wait till the trade deadline. But I'm not sure. Drummond if he gets to a situation where he's getting 20+ minutes a game, he's must own. But I just don't know what the market is for him. I'd be more interested to hear what Drake's hearing, because he is a Cavalier. I don't know if Drake's following him as much anymore, but I'm not hearing much, and I'm not sure. If you're a fantasy owner, you just hold until the trade deadline and then reevaluate from there.
There's been no movement or updates on that situation in a while, so that's where that's at. I mean, we all pretty much see the same news.
And then I guess Lamell Bald, man, it sounds like he's done for the year with the.
He is done for the year. That's a huge bummer.
It sounded like they because he's reevaluated in 4 weeks. It sounds like they're leaving him open to maybe coming back for the actual NBA playoffs. So there is some hope that we get to see more LaMelo Ball this year. But as far as fantasy, you can safely drop LaMelo. Is that a true statement?
Redraft, yes, please.
And then I guess
he's officially. I mean, he's unofficially out for the regular season.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just pull up the Charlotte Hornets and let's just try to figure out.
You know who can have some fun games is Malik Monk. Just saw him pop up. I rode the Monk train for a bit.
So just looking at the minutes from the last 7 days, PJ Washington leads the team with 33.5. Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier. There was LaMelo, Miles Bridges, Devontae Graham. So Graham's going to slot back up into the starting lineup here. I don't know who the backup point guard would be. To me, it means more Malik Monk minutes. So when they're probably going to split up Rozier and Graham and make sure one of those guys is on the court at all times. But when that's not possible, Malik Monk can control the duties here. So just the aftermath of no LaMelo Ball the rest of the regular season here. Does anything interest you guys for Charlotte?
I think I pretty much hit on it, Malik Monk.
And he's only 8% owned. I guess the other guy I just want to throw out, he's only 52% owned. That's Miles Bridges. And
Bridges has some fun games.
Bridges, he's one of those guys that kind of falls under the category of being a better real life player than a fantasy player. He just does all the right things for you. You trust him on the floor. He does have the opportunity to just put up a 21-point game every now and then. But he's more of a real life player than a fantasy player. But he's averaging 21.5 on the season. So if he's available, I'd look into him as maybe getting a little slight uptick in points here. But it all comes back to me to Devontae Graham is all of a sudden his switch is flipped back on. And then we'll watch for Malik Monk. But I don't know. Any thoughts on Charlotte, John?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of assists on the table that need to be accounted for. Now, they're not going to be able to replace all 10 plus assists that they're missing from a Lamelo, but guys who are going to do it are Terry Rozier, Devontae Graham, which we've talked about, but Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward has shown time and time again throughout his career that he's a better facilitator than anyone gives him credit for. Definitely very comfortable with the ball in his hands. I wouldn't be shocked to see Gordon Hayward's assist numbers rise. The rest of his stats stay pretty steady, and he, bump up a fantasy point 2 or 3 for the rest of the year.
Is this a playoff team?
Right now they are.
Right, but are they going to make the playoffs?
So they got.
Does the play-in game count?
Yeah, you can count the play-in game. All right.
Then yes.
So right now they got a 2-game lead over the Bulls and the Pacers. So Raptors are a little bit behind yet. So I think that's their floor, is just being the first team out, but I would expect them to be in the play-in games.
I think they can get in there. Hayward and Graham. And
the starting 5.
Cody Zeller's coming back.
The starting 5 is nice. You got Washington, Hayward, Rozier, Bridges, Graham, and then whether it's Biyombo or Zeller, like the starting 5 is fine. You're bringing Malik Monk off the bench, and then one of Biyombo.
Are the Hornets buyers? Do the Hornets go grab someone?
Get that 8th man. Get that 8th man. They don't need a stud. They just need
They got the cap room.
They need that Terrence Ross, man. We got a free Terrence Ross.
Can you imagine going from Magic to the Hornets?
It's an upgrade, man. You gotta do baby steps sometimes. At least Michael Jordan's chilling in Charlotte.
He's probably challenging them to like poker matches and then one-on-one.
You wanna go golfing later?
My question for the Hornets is just like, how many assets do you want to give up to get your butt whooped by the Nets, Sixers, or Bucks in round 1?
It feels like a team that's willing to do that just to be in the playoffs, though.
They just want to be.
They are.
Yeah.
And a team trying to build. This is a young team. Technically, they're building a pretty good, core of players here. Like they're 1 or 2 solid pieces away. But for them, this is a positive step in the right direction. So
LaMelo in 3 years is, if he continues this trajectory, the Hornets are going to be in great shape.
I think adding someone to make this push possible, that sends a good message to the team that, hey, let's go, guys. Like this is
Jordan don't like losing.
Right. When's the last time Charlotte made the playoffs, guys? Without looking it up.
It's probably sooner than you think. They've had it was a Kemba year for sure.
Kemba never made the playoffs.
He never
Charlotte. Did? Guaranteed. Well, they never won a playoff game. I know he's got 0 playoff wins. I don't know if they made it.
All right.
16. My guess
2016
against the Heat.
And they won games. So what the fuck? He never won a series. Then I guess that's my mistake. YouTube.
They put up 3 games, and Kemba Walker did play. Jeremy Lin was on that team. Cody Zeller. They got some playoff experience there with Cody Zeller, man. So
Zeller is he's just built of experience. All that guy does is ball.
Wow. And the Heat
is that rookie year Zeller, by the way? 14, 15?
I think you have to reach further back.
He's our age, boys.
30 years old now.
He's a man.
Yes.
2013, so that was his 3rd year, I believe.
We're old. So I remember Cody Zeller as this huge prospect coming out.
UNC, right?
Indiana.
His brother went to UNC.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Okay. But we
stayed home.
We're technically over the hour. Do you guys want to wrap up any final thoughts, or was there any other injury players that we needed to cover? Anything else to wrap up the show tonight?
Giannis is going for 3 straight MVPs. The Embiid injury and the LeBron injury have opened the door very wide. And I think he is, and Giannis is playing he was having a great season, but he is on something special of a tear right now.
The Bucks are winning games. He set a franchise record for 3 straight triple doubles. We're on a 7-game win streak, 9 of the last 11. And how long did we talk about the first month of January and even into February feeling like preseason? The Bucks had new players, and you talk about incorporating. You're losing George Hill and Eric Bledsoe, 2 pivotal pieces to what they've done the last few years, and just trying to put in new components with Drew Holiday and getting things kind of worked back in. You got Bobby Portis playing good minutes. it took them a while to figure things out, but now Giannis is kind of soaking up everything that's been brewing. So Jokic, is Giannis versus Jokic for MVP at this point? Is that our final contestants?
Harden.
Yeah, I would say Jokic right now would be my MVP, but
Lillard's clutch. I mean, if you just look at Lillard in clutch time, he's doing something this year that no one has even come close to. He is having some of the most special, clutch, like late game, close game situation. Like his shooting percentage in those situations is bonkers good. It doesn't make sense good. I just on that alone, Lillard should be in the conversation. He's not going to win it, but I think he deserves to be in the conversation.
I appreciate that thought.
Absolutely.
They've been playing without McCollum for a month and a half now, and they're still in the thick of it in the West. So, Dame is the reason why that they are a playoff team right now. So that you take him off, that's not happening. So I like that. Jokic, Dame, and Giannis. Any other names that make sense?
Embiid is absolutely in the mix. If Embiid can get back and get balling again, he's in the mix. I think LeBron is in the mix too. The LeBron stats are a little more muted this year, given his age and whatever. But if LeBron doesn't get back soon, I think he's going to be officially out. Embiid has a little more wiggle room because he's just been. I mean, he was the front runner for MVP for most of the season, so he's got an extra week or two, but he does need to get back and get going.
Embiid's missed 7 of the last 8 games for them, and they're 8-2 in their last 10. Though, does that hurt his chances? Like they're still winning without him. I guess.
I don't think so. I mean, good teams usually can win without their best player for a bit.
And good records correlate to MVP winners. So, when your team holds it down, keeps your record good, it gives
being
you
a 1 seed really.
Being a 1 seed helps a lot, yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's a wide open race. I definitely think if you voted today, you would be between Giannis and Jokic, though, right?
And I
think so.
Yeah.
It's shaping up to be a really fun month of April, I think. But Drake, any final thoughts before we wrap up here on tonight's show?
No, I think we covered a lot tonight. So
tonight was a good show. It felt like we covered a lot of ground tonight, and I don't know. As far as a fantasy show, that felt like one of our better fantasy shows for a while. So I don't know. We're gonna get out of here for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll be back next Tuesday night. But thank you guys for your time. We'll see you in another video. Thanks. Peace.